Is this a part-time job or a side hustle? Business Questions Answered Here, episode number 30. This is Business Questions Answered Here. I'm Jay Cleveland Payne, an independent business strategist with over 20 years of experience, using that experience and knowledge to hopefully answer some of your questions and save you some of the pain and hassle that I personally had to suffer. My business life has been filled with plenty of wins, even more losses, and a realization that knowledge is power, and I'm allowing you to gain some of your own power by transferring knowledge I personally learned myself, plus input from some other veteran business people. For more information about how you can get your business question showcased on this podcast or about any of the business services my company offers, visit the website businessquestionsansweredhere.com. Today's episode is sponsored by FreshBooks, and more on the sponsor in just a moment. But first, we're going to get into today's question. And today's question is brought to us by Bobby Jean, who has a question on whether what she's doing is really extra work or whether it's really just another job. Here is the question. I picked up a part-time job to make extra money, but I was wondering if I was doing more than just trading spare hours for loose change. The best description for the job is gopher for a family-run accounting business. But the owner has taken my input to heart and has allowed me to implement a few things that have reaped immediate benefits and is paying me extra from the added revenue of the changes that do work. So, am I just a part-time employee of the company, or am I a side hustler? So, there's a good question. And Bobby Jean, thank you so much for the question. Now, let me start off with a major congratulations for what you're doing and tell you that you are entrepreneurial. And take that to heart. You're entrepreneurial. You're showing the skills and the spirit of the word entrepreneurial, as in characterized by the taking of financial risk in the hope of profit enterprising. That's from a dictionary. You also are not a pure entrepreneur. I'm sorry to tell you that. The definition, that is a person who organizes and operates a business or businesses taking on greater than normal financial risk in order to do so. Also from the dictionary definition. And I pulled those definitions from a dictionary specifically to tell you that there is a difference. It's not just semantics, because you're not a true entrepreneur unless you're actually putting some stake into the game for the actual business that it's going to affect. Your efforts don't necessarily affect the business. If you fail in your projects, nobody loses a job. The business doesn't go under and no one has to be really sad. They can just get rid of you. The projects that you are spearheading are making a significant boost to the company in its overall business, and to you also in particular, but it's not the key business. It's not the thing that's holding anything together. So if you want to shift the semantics from there, from being entrepreneurial, using your skills in an entrepreneurial way, to being an entrepreneur, which is actually putting your skin in the game, you put some skin in the game. Just offer up similar ideas and services to somebody else. Charge them some money, pay the taxes from the revenue. That's the really important part. And then you're an entrepreneur. You're in the club. You may not be Mark Cuban or Elon Musk or Richard Branson, but believe me, by definition, you are basically an entrepreneur. You may not have millions of dollars at your disposal or the wealth of knowledge that the entrepreneurs have, but as long as you're working in a business, which you'll have, that's working to make a profit, which is very important, you are in the club, and there's a financial risk to your budget and your company, and not just the extra change that you're picking up in your pocket. But before you do that, before you start getting business cards ready and launching a sales funnel and get ready to go on tour, you have to make sure that what you are doing is going to be cool with your current employer or a bunch of employers. Bobby Jean, I'm confused on what's going on. You say you have a part-time job, so I'm assuming we're talking about what you're doing for the part-time job with the agency, but I'm also assuming you have a full-time job on top of that. So you have to make sure that it's going to be cool with everybody. And I'm assuming you already worked out the details to do the part-time with the other one. And if you're not, you've just made sure that the business dealings of one don't get into the other. Basically, nobody's snooping around and seeing what you're doing on your free time, because what you're not doing at work is technically your free time. You can do all the jobs you want to as long as no one is bothered by what's going on. And of course, you're not giving away something like company secrets in between the two. You're not working at one company and so you can get the details to give it to the other company. That, of course, is bad. Not necessarily always illegal, but it's pretty much always bad. And if that's the case is everybody's okay with what you're doing, then set aside your third business, which is your side hustle business. And if it's not okay with what's going on, if what you're doing is kind of proprietary, or they rather you not work with other people, they want to have you exclusively working in their offices and not sharing the knowledge that you're gaining from them, or just the experience itself, maybe because it is proprietary, or maybe just they're selfish and think you're such a good person, they want to keep you around to do stuff for just them, then you keep the idea in your head and you put the actual effort to make an actual business into sort of a holding cell. And eventually you work on that, and you may want to turn that side hustle into a full-time deal once you think you have enough experience under your belt. But for right now, if the companies involved might have a problem with you doing a side hustle that is extremely similar to what you're doing, then you might want to put it on hold. Now, if there's nothing proprietary that you're giving away, if it's mostly advice and recommendations, maybe you're telling them how to use certain apps or somehow use certain software or put different things in place, then there shouldn't be any problem other than your actual time management between whatever you're doing. This is your part-time job we're talking about, particularly the other job I'm assuming you have. Any time you need for family, friends, and yourself, remember, key in that your self-time is the most important time, even though it takes a lot of time to make money to have your self-time. Make sure you take care of all that stuff time-wise, and if you have the time to set aside to working towards some other endeavor, especially if it's bringing money in, it's always a boon to work on that. So that's the big deal. Make sure you're not stealing time from any other company, not working on their time, work on your own thing, and make sure you're not stealing time from yourself, the time you need for winding down, or sometimes some people, they need it for winding up to some other situation. This is something I deal with actually in my side business and my real business. There are some issues for what I do in the media business. So I cannot work with direct competition. Direct competition is defined as major radio television networks in this market. So I can't do anything with the big time TV folks or radio folks in this market without some sort of permission. If my company has a working agreement or some sort of partnership, short term, long term, whatever, with a company in town, yes, I can work with them. If it's one of the stations that are in the building, in the company here or around the nation, I can pretty much hand them whatever I need to, because we are not in competition. We are essentially sister stations, especially in the building. Someone down the hall needs something, it's not a problem. Someone down the street needs something, that's a problem. So I have to make sure that I'm working with people that I can legally work with in radio and in TV, that I have partnerships with in my company in good standing in my market. If they don't, I can't work with them on any projects. This also goes nationwide if they are a direct competitor for someone else. Maybe it's a friend who has something needing to be done on the other side of the country. If they work for a competitor, it gets a little iffy. It depends on how big the market is and where they are going on there. If they're not, then it's no big deal. So to keep myself out of trouble, most of my side work is done for people who aren't dealing with major broadcasting. They are dealing a lot with churches who are dealing with their media things. Also nonprofits as well, who usually have some holes, especially the ones that aren't major established charities, some holes in their media that they can use, need some filling and some information on. And for a few select individuals that don't work in broadcasting themselves, people who may need a press release or a video done or some social media work every so often for a project or promotion, I can do that anytime I have the time to. I can't say all day long, because a lot of the time I'm working at my own job. As long as they two don't mingle, as long as they don't take away from each other, then I'm fine. But if I'm dealing with something that's not in the area that's free and clear, that's another radio station, another big time media producer that is in direct competition with my company, then I can't do that for my side business. And that's one thing to do. So that's the biggest thing to look out for. If you can get away with working on things with other people, there's no conflicts with the businesses, no conflicts with what you're doing, then go for it. Do it part-time. Look for one or two different types of clients here or there to get your stuff going, since you're already assuming working a fuller time job, and this one is a small time as well. If there's conflicts, learn what you can, build on that, and when you get a chance to leave one place that has a conflict, and start applying the things that you want to use to other things, and be fishing for those things before you make that leap. That's the big thing in business, is having something to jump onto instead of the faith part of just assuming something will be there. Faith works a whole lot better when there's something to shoot for, as opposed to hoping it'll just come up under you as you're falling from the sky. But there are two things that are extremely important about the question itself. Number one, you asked the question. We thank you so much for asking and sending it to us. And number two, you are doing the thing, girl. You are working yourself and getting things going and being entrepreneurial. And it's just all about having the guts, maybe a couple bucks to put down something for a real entrepreneurship type deal, your actual little side business. And make sure, as I say often, pay your taxes, get the paperwork done, do the important things. So that's what makes the whole thing real and keeps people out of your pockets. The IRS, number one, when you mess things up, because they will figure it out and they will come and find it, because you do owe that stuff that they say. It's not a scam. You do owe it to them. What is they're probably saying. Be sure to send us updates as you go along with your journey, whether you're staying where you are or going on your own big time. We want to hear about that. And I want to thank the listeners profusely very much for listening to this week's episode of Business Questions Answered Here. Of course, sponsored by FreshBooks. And FreshBooks is the place that you need, or the thing that you need, to get your invoices done and take care of your tracking of all your money. You can say it's a place because it's basically anywhere you want to be, anywhere you want to go, based on any device you want to use. If you have a tablet, you have a phone, or you can sit down at a desktop or laptop, you can access FreshBooks. And FreshBooks is going to save you time, save you frustration, and save you money in the process. You will create professional-looking invoices in seconds so that when you need to ask for that money, you can send that invoice to that company and look like a real company, and not like someone who's just kind of working off of receipts and Post-it notes. Trust me, I've been there too. It also lets you accept credit cards, which is awesome. And you can do whatever you need to do to take things on with your actual work, because your business, as long as you're talking about your actual financial business, is put on basically autopilot. You set it to give you reminders when you need to. You check in on whatever you need to on your device, wherever you are, and you can do what you need to do and look like a real professional, because that's what you are, a real professional. So why not look like it? And guess what? Not only can you try it for free, we have an even extra special deal if you go through our site for the link on FreshBooks. It is businessquestionsansweredhere.com/FreshBooks. businessquestionsansweredhere.com/FreshBooks. You get to try it for free, and that's the thing that everyone lets you do. They let anyone try it for free, but we have an extra special deal if you check it out via our link at our website. And it also, of course, helps keep the business questions answered here, of course. And that website, businessquestionsansweredhere.com/FreshBooks. Before we go, we want to ask you very quickly, are you side hustling? Are you doing what you need to do to get your little gig on the side, or are you just being a good employee? Are you being entrepreneurial for the guy who pays your paycheck, or are you being entrepreneurial to make your own extra money on the side? You let us know in the comments for this podcast. And by the way, you can help us grow this thing. It's very simple. Visit our sponsors. That's an easy one. Also, you can stop by our webpage, businessquestionsansweredhere.com, and get more information about all we do, our podcast, the archive, subscription information, and of course, you can submit your question for review and eventual answering here in the podcast. Once again, I'm Jay Cleveland Payne, eagerly awaiting your business question to answer here.